And you got other officers.
Yeah.
Were they trying to do the whole, scooch around thing?
Correct. I think everybody wanted to, we could feel that seriousness that, they're not a bit of her body weight was on our side of the bridge. It was all on the river side of the bridge.
This is a very different type of a topic and a podcast for us.
It is.
But, man, why don't you just start off, tell us a little bit, who you are, and you're going to tell us today about your worst day at work.
Okay. I'm Joey Kierson. Call sign is Guardian in the Warrior Tribe down in Matoka, Virginia.
Let's go.
But been a police officer now 15 years, on our negotiations team coming up 12 years. And we deal with a bunch of different stuff, whether it just be our normal line of work, being a police officer, or in our negotiations team, various calls, from the residential area of Chesterfield, that we're dealing with, your more domestics, your mental health consumers, things like that. But that's what this day, brought for me. At the time, being, sergeant on midnights and just listening to the radio, when that call was dispatched, naturally just going to dispatch myself. I'm going to go to those things. It just really enter my expertise, if you will. Try to best I can help the situation.
What was the call? What did they say? What went out over the radio that you remember hearing?
So it was a suspicious call up on 295, the interstate. 295, it's, a suspension bridge, 150 some feet in the air that separates the two counties over the James River. So a call being dispatched that, a woman was looking over the bridge. And luckily, we did have day shift units, that were close by. And I'll tell you, my jurisdiction and an adjoining jurisdiction, we both we trained together, we worked together from a negotiation standpoint. And, when I heard that call, I'm naturally just going to go to it again.
So this is, woman looking over a bridge. This means, somebody's considering taking their life.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So that's what you're headed to.
Yeah. So I don't know, is it just somebody that maybe a passerby thought that's what they saw? Somebody could just, it was a car on 295.
You're like, well, I'm going to go check on it and see.
And once the day shift guys got there, I could hear in their voice that it was somebody that wanted to kill themselves, was contemplating suicide, that upon seeing the officers ran further away, and now is, perched on that Jersey wall of that bridge looking over the James. So luckily they, made contact really quickly, from a negotiation standpoint. That's what we want. We want, I want that contact to be made pretty quick. We joke around that if you're talking to us, you're not homiciding, you're not suiciding, right? Mm-hmm. So we want contact to be made pretty quick. And so hearing the day shift guys, at least attempting to make contact, but being able to hear them on the radio, I knew, it was somewhat serious. So again, I was supervisor anyway, to relieve the day shift guys. And then being a negotiator, I want to go to it anyway.
So you're the guy that's been trained. Mm-hmm. Like you're the negotiator. You've been through the training. So everybody else is just kind of there because they're the first ones there, but they're kind of like just waiting for you to get there.
Correct.
They're like, all right, I'm going to do this as best I can until the pro gets here.
Yeah. So, and I never want to be that guy, right? Typically we tell people that we're like, hey, just because I'm there, I'm not going to take over. If you're doing a great job, I'm just going to help coach you. Yeah. And in this situation, that officer, he wanted to make the switch.
So when you got there, when you rolled up, tell us what you saw.
So I remember seeing the officer talking to her. And, in my mind, I'm like, well, let me slow things down a little bit. Cause you're all about de-escalation. So let me slow stuff down a little bit and, take some time to go through the car. Cause, I remember hearing on the radio trying to run the tag to see who does the car belong to. They didn't have a name. So, again, I want to take that opportunity to go through the car. Like, is there anything of value for us that can help us with this?
You're going through the woman's car.
Yeah, the woman's car.
While she's where?
She's actually sitting on the bridge talking to that first officer. So I took the opportunity to go through her car.
When you say sitting on the bridge,
she's sitting on the bridge.
You mean sitting like on the ledge of the bridge?
Sitting on the ledge,
legs hanging off
of the Jersey wall, legs hanging outside, and there is no barrier. It's just 156 feet drop to the James River.
No net or nothing.
No.
Yeah, it's like one of those, like you said, a Jersey, like one of them low. Cement.
The cement walls,
walls.
She's sitting on it.
So before you even walk up to the scene, you're going through her car to kind of gather some information. Who is this person?
So,
what can I learn about him?
I remember seeing her wallet, so taking her license to see, and I'm trying to compare like the person I see on the bridge.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at her name and knowing that it was familiar, but I didn't know why. Being a police officer, it could be a good reason. It could be a bad reason.
Like I see a lot of people, a lot of names.
So I'm like, in my mind, I just remember like, people in contacts. So in this situation, nothing's coming to my mind. Like, why do I know this person? So, started going through a car, saw like, suicide note and really just taking down some names that are in that note that from a negotiation standpoint, I'm looking at it as, this is going to be the thing that I can talk to these people about. Any type of situation, I'm looking for those things. We call them hooks. What can I, like fishing, right? I'm setting that hook. How can I reel you in?
These are people that are important to this person.
So when I'm reading a note and I'm seeing names that, that one name, I see Goose, right? Constantly being written. Well, that person means something to the person that's experiencing crisis. So let me take note and let me figure out why that person means so much to them. So, because to us, it's just names on paper, and I don't know the relationship behind it. So I took that time to do a little bit of intel gathering for myself, and that officer on scene asking if I could come up there to make the switch. Eventually we did. Made sure that, another supervisor was actually handling the scene. I was just going to go forward for the negotiation standpoint. And like when I took over, it was perfect. The 295, the interstate shut down. There are like some civilians with boats in the water, but it's just like one or two, not a big deal. And so it was really quiet because that's ultimately what I want. I want it to be quiet. I want it to be just us up there. I want to contain it so I can really start, get to know this person, to build that rapport.
I feel like this is like a scene in a movie.
Yeah.
It's like I'm picturing, it's like that's the most experience most of us will ever see or hear of anything of this sort.
Yeah. That's kind of, kind of is, and it's.
But this is for real. You're walking up to a lady sitting on the ledge.
Yeah. And now I remember like being a little nervous, right? I've done roller coasters. I remember like doing the extreme sky flyer at King's Dominion, bungee jumping and stuff. And that was like just awesome.
You bungee jumped?
Yeah. So walking up, walking up to her, I remember being a little nervous, like looking over the side. I'm like, man, we are kind of high. And the only thing I can remember is the Jersey wall was actually smaller than what it looked. Cause like it's right at my hip. Right. I'm a big dude. And that's the only thing.
I even get off balance, this thing's
not gonna help me. And I remember like I could feel like when the wind blew, I could feel the bridge move. Because it's a suspension bridge. And I remember feeling uneasy like about that. But you got to push that aside. There is a job that needs to be done, right? And just offering that person that's in that crisis moment, giving them the compassion, the love, the kindness, to actually help them through that event, through de-escalation, and just really just being able to talk, being able to listen. In my experience, like
had you ever responded to something like this before?
So this is my first. This is my first bridge jumper.
Okay,
I've done a lot of negotiating, but first time like bridge jumping.
Okay.
We do it over the phone. We've had face to face. I've done those different things, whether it be domestics, whatever, mental health.
You said you had
consumers.
talked to people that had like been shooting with
Yeah.
police, and then
Yeah.
they were
Yeah,
holed up in a house.
Yeah, that's a unique.
Barricading.
A barricade afterwards.
That was eye opening to me when you said that, because it's like, oh yeah, there's so many different dynamic
Yeah.
scenarios, right? They're not always
yeah,
suicide or homicide or
Correct.
hostage.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just somebody who did something really stupid and now they're
Yeah.
scared and hiding.
yeah, exactly. I mean, just the gamut of what could be that we've dealt with. Show up for a domestic, realize someone it has a gun and they want to use it on themselves.
Right.
And now trying to back people out of apartments so I can have this face to face. I can talk to them. And that's just like a personal.
Okay. But this
thing,
is your
like,
first time.
first time up on the bridge. First time on the bridge.
So what do you say when you first walk up to a person with all your training? What's the first thing you say?
So the first thing I just want
jump.
to, yeah, correct. Don't jump. So the first thing I just want to make sure, like, who am I? Right. I want to introduce myself and really just say like, hey, will you come talk to me? Right. Come over to me. I want to get that right out the way, because maybe they think they are going to be arrested or whatever.
Right.
I want that off Jump Street. I want them to know like that's not what's going to happen here.
No pun intended. You
correct.
I was like, why didn't
Correct.
you just say Jump Street?
So, man, through the whole situation, I told you we're on a bridge over a river. While throughout the negotiation, I brought up swimming, I brought up fishing, I brought
There's a lot of negotiation.
it is.
It's not so much what you say, but what you don't say.
correct.
That would be my problem.
So I'm like, man, Joey, stay away from the water. Stay away from the water. Why do you keep bringing these things up? But yeah, so I just want them to know like who I am on a first name basis, because I want them to get to know me, and I'm always going to bring my family up. I think I really quickly brought up my family, and because we're all human. At the end of the day, we're all human. I've never experienced something that put me on that bridge, but you know what? I like to think that if I ever was, there would be people willing to come just talk to me and listen to me. Right.
That's really smart, because I think, most of us civilians, a cop comes walking over to us, talking to us, we're seeing a uniform.
Yeah.
We're seeing a gun.
Exactly.
We're seeing a badge. We're like, this is a cop. But like you start talking about your family, your kids,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I totally see you in a different light.
Yeah. And, that's something I remember at one point, just because I could see in the note, she's talking to her husband. Right. And by reading it, I'm thinking they've been together for a while. And, I'm a high school sweetheart. We're still married, 3 kids. So I want that to be known. Like, hey, I've been with my wife for a long time too. And I know marriage is hard. Relationships are hard. Being a parent is hard. So just really trying to figure out like where their mindset is, where, what past experiences, why are they here? And maybe I can, offer some guidance, maybe some resources. Cause what is Men's Alliance, right? Isolation's terminal. This
Yep.
person may be just totally on an island by themselves. And I may be that thing that comes out, to see them, to greet them. And I can be the thing that brings them back, right? Get off the island, come back to the mainland, if you will,
That's
with
good.
us, So, that's really, in a nutshell, what it is.
Yeah.
It's just listening and talking. It's not as glorious as like you said, the movies. But man, being up there, it is, resonated in my mind.
So you go walking up to her, you're introducing yourself, saying, hey, come talk to me. What was her name?
Angela.
Angela.
Yeah.
How does this conversation go with Angela? Tell us.
So
She talking to you? Is she responding back?
So she did. She talked, but it was like really short. Short answers. Typically I try to say like I want the person I'm with to talk like 60, 70% of the time, and I'm just listening. Well, all of my questions, I'm asking open-ended stuff, but she's just like, here's your answer, and it's done. Here's your answer. you know, and now I feel like I'm doing a lot of, you know,
It's not a conversation. She's just like answering test questions.
Yep. I said I got kids, The Incredibles, right? She caught me monologuing, you know, like that's what I'm doing, right? Syndrome. I felt like I was monologuing a lot. Like I'm talking, you know, about myself, or, you know, some of the stuff that she's given me, that, I have some kids. Yeah, I have, you know, and just really trying to play on that I'm a dad. You know, trying to use my wife like, hey, motherhood's really tough. You know, dads, we experience our own issues and stuff like that. But, you know, I can't imagine what a mom's going through. So really just trying to get on that human element, to bring them back to me. And, you know, throughout it, just trying to, like, just little stuff. Okay, you don't want to get off the ledge. Can you put 1 foot over while we talk? Because, you know, all of her body weight was on the outside. All of it. And you know, made me nervous the whole time I was watching it.
How do you know how close that you can get to someone like that?
Yeah, so, you know, throughout it, kept telling me, like, to stay back, right?
Okay.
And that's just you know, I'm a cop, I'm human, I teach, like, you don't go up and grab them. You don't go up. The momentum could pull you over.
Yeah.
But I will tell you every ounce of my soul wanted to just run up and grab her.
Yeah. You were having to show a lot of restraint.
Yeah. But I knew I couldn't. A lot of her weight was on the outside of the bridge. I felt like, you know, I would be the thing that push her, you know, like my momentum from running to her. Because the closest I ever got was maybe 15 feet. Yeah. You know, and in my mind, while I'm trying to think of how this negotiation's going, how the conversation's going, in the back of my mind going, well, how can I close the distance and grab her? How can I close the distance and grab her? And so while that's like playing through my head, you know, knowing like you still need to be relying on, you know, your active listening, just listen to her, trust the process. So it was really tough being, you know, it's a lot easier when you're on the phone, right? But it was really tough being there in person. And so yeah, it was really unique. One, it was my first bridge jumper. I typically try to stay away from religion, but I mean, within the first 5 minutes, you know, she made statements of, you know, she no longer wanted to be here. She wanted to be with God. That evil was in this world. You know, I just let it be known. I mean, the devil wanted her on that ledge. You know, and I felt like it was my responsibility, and you know.
If they're saying that,
I mean,
the door's wide open.
Yeah, I'm like, that's how I felt, right? You could have been at 5 o'clock. I come on at 6 o'clock. You could have been at a different bridge, but you chose this one. You know what I'm saying? That that God plays a role in all of our lives, and you know we don't see. And this is something, you know, since growing in my faith. When we pray with with my family, or when I'm praying by myself, say, continue to use me to do your will. That's how I end all my prayers. And how I've looked at where I have so many stories of us, whether it be my family, whether it be in me, being thrust in these situations. It's just been a wild ride. I think you said it at the national rally, man. Goose, when you said buckle up, 100%. So, you know, I felt like, okay, well, I'm being called here. I'm not going to be reserved with that. Again, first time I really leaned into religion. But you know, just saying like, hey, I felt like God brought me here to protect you. God brought me here to help you.
This isn't a coincidence.
You know, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just by happen chance that here we are. You know, and I think the devil's clouding your mind, right? And I wanted her to see how much she had to live for. So, yeah.
Do you ever weigh in your mind when you go to these situations, like, is this person just looking for attention, or is this person like a credible, like, threat of harming themselves?
Yeah, so,
cry for help versus
versus like, so like, when if I'm sure you think that through, when did you realize that, okay, this person's for real? Like, this is,
so I mean, this was, you know, over an hour. So
over an hour of standing there on the bridge talking
in heat, with the sun beating down on me. I'm sweating. We had bugs around us. and just I knew when there was moments where her focus was so on that water, and she was wiggling like more of that weight going to the outside, and I could feel I could feel the butterflies in my stomach.
Yeah.
That roller coaster feeling, I kept feeling it every time that she would start like moving forward, and it would take me off my game. Like I'm trying to plan what I'm going to say, and then I'm like a little kid getting called in class. I'm like, what was I saying?
Right.
Trying to bring it back.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I played it on so much. Like, do your daughter like to go swimming? Like it's just natural. Like I'm looking, I see the water.
Right.
Just popped out. And
so her body language was giving every indication that, okay, this person is really about to do
just
something.
how adamant she was for us to not be close, to stay away. And, I could feel it. I could feel the energy.
Yeah.
Right. And just the totality of everything, that I was like, this is serious. Just, feeling the, responsibility. I said, I feel like I'm being called here for a reason. Well, I don't want to let anybody down. Right. So just, playing through that. And,
is there an average length of time when you roll up to something like this? Is there like a normal?
No. So,
is it all over the place?
Man, it is.
Is an hour long or short? I guess I'm asking.
Well, so have I ever spoken to a house with someone inside through a PA system for 8 hours? Yes, I have. A one-way conversation for 8 hours.
Gosh.
Yeah, it terrible.
You'd be great at podcasting.
Yeah. So, have I, again, stood in literal sleeting, freezing cold, 20-degree temperatures for all night from 10 p.m. till the sun came up? Yes. So it all depends on the situation.
Okay.
This felt forever just because what was going on inside of me.
Yeah.
That butterfly feeling, like I had never felt like that before.
Yeah.
You always kind of remain calm, cool, collective, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, every time that wiggle would happen, or I thought like, this is it.
Anytime your body is in a heightened level of stress, seconds feel like minutes.
Yeah, I felt like we were up there forever.
Yeah.
So, and just, how it progressed, went from just us to, we had helicopters over us, that wasn't with, my department, helicopters and other officers that again are not with my department. We can make the request for them to back off. But and there was a lot of stuff we learned, or I learned personally, with unified command, stuff like that. But, again, I'm not the one running it.
A lot of variables you can't control.
Correct. My focus is I'm with her.
Yeah.
All of that is not supposed to be me.
Right.
That it just needs to be me and her.
Right, right.
So, and for the most part, I try to make it. Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we were up there for a while. We talked about a lot. And I think for me, when you said a serious moment, I said the helicopter that was there. At some point, she had both her kids' baby blankets. And at some point one is dropped. And, as it's fallen, like I just knew, that I was like that this isn't good. How can I overcome this? How am I going to get past this?
It almost gives her one more reason to jump because she wants to go get the blanket. Like you could interpret it that way.
So like I constantly was like at that moment, I just remember like feeling stress in myself. Then I'm like, okay, the one thing I can control is me.
Right.
All the other variables I have no say over. So, just keep yourself under control, trust the basics, trust the process. You're going to get through it. So just kept going.
So about how long did this last? A little over an hour?
Yeah. On my half of it. So there was an officer that got there first.
That's right.
he negotiated, and luckily for me, I was already in that zone. So I had a pretty quick response time myself for just coming to work. I was there in the first 15, 18 minutes. He was there in the first like 3. Yeah, about an hour and a half total, something like that.
Do you remember what you were doing when you got that call?
Yep, I was like literally pulling off my street, like going down through Matoka, headed to our station, and I heard it.
So this is the beginning of the day?
11 minutes into my shift.
Okay. Wow.
And heard it and was like, all right, well, let me start that way and see what's up. And, made it there, and again, trying to rely on that officer to do his thing, make that first initial contact, and then support him, which ultimately led to me taking over.
So you're talking with this lady, you're establishing this rapport, the blanket goes over.
And that's my gut check moment. That's where internally, I feel like, and even watching my body camera, we go from a distance, maybe 25 feet. Now I'm trying to work closer.
Yeah, you're
to
inching up.
Yeah, because I'm like, now I need to grab her. The blanket goes over, demeanor change. She's more focused on the water. She's even less speaking to me. We're still having a conversation, but it's even shorter answers. And everything in me is like, now's the time you need to get her. Because I wasn't feeling good anymore. In the beginning, I was like, so first I'll say we don't keep score on our team, right? There's only thing we can control is what we do. Ultimately, the person in the crisis, they make that decision, right?
Yeah.
But we're human.
Right.
So I've never been in the position where I'm like fighting to win, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. It was just different. I felt like there was a lot of external, components. I remember seeing a boat in the water. Dad was dropping an anchor, kids with puddle jumpers on. And just the only thing I could think is like, as a dad, there's no way I would want my kid to see this. What are you doing?
Yeah, so like spectator boats are starting to gather below.
Correct.
People eating popcorn.
Yeah, exactly. And trying to overcome, like, again, I want to isolate and contain this thing. I want it to be just us.
Right.
But now I got a helicopter. Now I got other officers. Now I got boats in the water with kids looking up at us.
And you got other officers.
Yeah.
Were they trying to do the whole, scooch around thing?
Correct. I think everybody wanted to, we could feel that seriousness that, they're not a bit of her body weight was on our side of the bridge. It was all on the river side of the bridge.
So it would be ideal if whoever's there on scene, you could huddle up before we go do this and be like, all right, this is what I want. I need y'all to do this.
Yeah.
If this happens, a
pre-mission brief.
But those moments are so while you're huddling up, she could have jumped at this time. So you can't. You gotta.
And it's guys from different departments.
Right. Yeah.
And then, it's.
I would have
on your feet
for another negotiator to get there, because that person would know what I needed,
right?
Or what I wanted,
right?
Versus, we look at it through a different lens.
Sure.
Again, a lot of times it's not glorious, right? I'm just talking to people.
Yeah.
And it's not, the cool SWAT team. They look cool. They get the cool tactics and stuff like that. All the cool toys. We just rely on active listening and talking to people.
So take us back to that moment. You're not feeling good about this. You're like, I gotta do something.
Yeah.
What happens?
I tried, just playing those words, right? Like the sun was starting to set. Like, this day's behind us. Just come with me. I can get you the resources you need. Let it be done. And I was letting her know, like, we're forever connected. I'm never going to forget this. However it plays out, I'm never going to forget it. We're forever connected. And, just letting her know that I'm here for her. I think at one point I say that, I'm like, we're forever connected. And, you're not by yourself. You're not by yourself. I care about you. You have so much to live for. and I'm trying to help you see it. Because again, in my mind, her clouded judgment, she couldn't see what all she had going for her, right? She had told me she was using pills and stuff like that. So I knew there was some substance abuse, and we have resources to help deal with that. We work with mental health. We work with clinicians all the time. Like, there's so much we can do to help you. But I will never forget how I felt, how she looked when she looked at me and she said, "Can you tell my family I love them?" And I try to tell her that you are going to tell them. Yeah. You're going to tell them. And she jumped. So, again, I'm human. It was over a 4-second fall. So I had the opportunity to look over the bridge and, watch impact. And, in that moment, realizing that, maybe I failed. I could feel that realization. I'm a dude that I'm always like laughing, always, cracking jokes and stuff. And I cracked one real quick. And then you can, like, my demeanor on the body camera, you can hear me start breathing different. It's really starting to set in that, almost like a guilt, I guess you could say. Cause, I'm a dad, and I'm like, there's a daughter and there's a son that, mom's not coming home because I couldn't do my job. So yeah, that started, playing through my head. And like, at that point, again, I told you we shut down an interstate, at 6:00, on a Friday. So, 295 is a way to avoid Richmond traffic. Well, we've shut it down. So, there's that urgency of, getting that roadway opened. Yeah. So, we're dealing with that. And, luckily for me, during that time, I told you it was an hour and a half, during that time, that a lot of what we do sometimes is buying time for like SWAT, stuff like that, for them to elicit a tactical response. And in this case, it wasn't a police unit at all that was anything tactical. It was our brothers over on the fire side of stuff. Where they were positioned, I could not see them. I didn't know they were there. But they had water rescue already there. Med flight was already stationed close by. They had already worked all that out in that hour and a half we gave them. So, when she jumps, and I mean, it's not a coincidence. This is divine intervention. When you see her impact, how close she was to rocks, how low the water was that day, how she was positioned face down, had that water crew not been there, just so many variables. There's the probability of her living wouldn't be very high. So seeing her face down and stuff, I just remember seeing the water rescue and thinking like, well, she's not moving. So and then that's when people started asking me about the interstate. So all those emotions
immediately. They didn't ask about
immediately.
Woman or anything
just
else.
Pulls your attention away so fast.
So I turn around and I remember people, a firefighter telling me, man, it's okay. Like, you did a good job, and again, starting to feel it where actually in the moment, I'm not feeling sad or anything like that. I'm feeling like a lot of guys, just anger. That all these outside distractions, so
you were thinking this could have gone so differently if y'all would have.
If you just would have done what was asked,
right?
Because though I wasn't speaking on the radio, I could hear the radio from other officers. It was being requested. Okay. We don't need a helicopter.
Right.
We don't need people on the bridge. We don't need these things. And you just chose not to listen.
Right.
And then asking immediately as that realization again. The first thing that I remember popping in my head were, my kids.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, damn. mom just killed herself because I didn't do my job. So how would that affect my kids if it was me?
Yeah.
So that's popping through my head when they're like, hey, can we open the interstate?
Right.
That was just, again, I'm always smile on my face. Stuff rolls off me, duck on a water's back.
Yeah.
But not that day.
Did you say you cracked a joke?
I did.
Is that what you said? Yeah.
I did.
I can relate so much to that because that's how I cope with a lot of stuff with humor.
Absolutely.
You know what
I think
mean?
that's how
I think that's so awesome
LEOs,
that
first
you could say
responders,
that.
military. We use the dark humor as our pressure release valve.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you don't ever talk about it, then it seems like it's going to be worse.
I think that's a powerful part of your story, just that
Yeah.
little element to be like, okay, I'm not the only one who can
Yep.
crack
Yeah.
jokes in inappropriate times.
Correct.
Because that's so real.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's great.
So what did you try to do? I like how you try to instantly forget about what happened.
Yeah.
By just diving back in. Talk about that.
So obviously it's going to take manpower to close the interstate. Again, I'm asked, hey, when you open the roadway up, is it good to open up? And I didn't care what anyone else did. I can tell you what my officers are doing. We're clearing, and we're not handling it. This can be you guys.
Yeah.
I got on the radio. I told all of our units to clear out. We're assisting, and there was calls holding. So I found the highest priority and was like, dispatch, go ahead and show me a route. I'm gonna start taking calls.
Next.
Yep, exactly. Next. At that time I was just angry,
Right.
and this is what is so important. We've cultivated a whole new way of thinking within our department. And I give the credit to my lieutenant who knows me. He knows my family and, instantly calls me. It's like, hey man, do you honestly think you're going to calls? And I was like, yep, we're good, man. It's all good. It is what it is. I just kept saying, it is what it is. And he's like, yeah, I don't know that it is.
I don't know if it is what it is.
And I'm like, well, I'm the only supervisor, so, it is what it is. I'm going to take calls. And he's quite frankly, interrupts me and is like, hey, man, I know how to do your job. I can do it. I don't care that you're the only supervisor. Like, you need to go home.
It's a good lieutenant.
Yeah. So you talk about, a leader stepping up.
Yeah.
That recognized it in his people, even when I couldn't recognize the need for me to do that at the time.
So often as men, we don't want to deal with and process the grief, the trauma. And so we're going to try to mask it with work.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, just give me
100%.
more work. Give me more work. I'm going to dive back in. Give me another project. I'm going to work overtime. All these different things we do, we're doing it so that we don't have to deal with the big problem, the one we don't want to talk about.
Absolutely. And I know that's what I do. So I know a lot of guys, they're going to relate. I relate to that,
But you're even taught that in the academy. I mean,
Yeah.
you're told that you leave a call, it's a bad call. You can't just like, I need the rest of the day off.
Yeah.
Normally, it's
Yeah.
that you get taught, all right, you got to put that in a box somewhere and move on to the next call, So it was totally natural for you because that's probably how you were trained.
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
So, I'm thankful for him and sent me home. And, my wife and I, we talk about everything. I know so many first responders. And I will say, where we say, we don't struggle alone. Mm-hmm. Having that open door, at times she gets frustrated. I tell her too much. But that I'm going to share stuff with her.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's actually really healthy.
Yeah.
yeah. So I just remember parking the car and she was already out of the house. And, the only thing I could think that I was just like, man, why do I know this name? Why do I know Angela's name? She's like, oh, this Angela? And she shows me on Facebook. She's like, man, we used to go to church with her. You remember her? And instantly, yes, of course I knew Angela. But again, out of the context, I knew her from going Sundays to church. I didn't know her from up on a 150 some foot bridge,
Yeah.
And I had a lot of regret by not bringing up or not asking her, like, why do you know me? In my mind, that was the thing. That was the thing that if I would have said that, if I would have asked her that, that would have been the thing to bring her, on my side. Yeah.
Maybe it would have.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, just kind of processing those emotions, more than emotionally, I felt this physiologically. So the coming days, coming weeks, anytime we lay down to go to bed, that butterfly feeling when you're on the, think of your roller coasters right before the drop, where your stomach's kind of going up. I felt that the entire time I was laying down to try to go to sleep.
Why do you think it was when you laid down to go to sleep?
I don't know.
Was it because maybe like everything became still and quiet and your thoughts slowed down and like maybe it was always there?
Yeah.
You just then heard it?
Yeah. And I remember like we would lay there and as soon as I would lay down, I could feel that immense, like felt like I'm falling or whatever. So I would actually go to sleep holding our nightstand. That's how I would sleep every night. It seemed to like, help me, like ground me, if you will.
Yeah. Holding on to something solid.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, during this timeline here, these weeks after this incident, did you talk to anybody about all this stuff?
So,
or are you kind of holding it in?
So I'll tell you, one of our team members that night, he's on peer support. He reached out, and I mean, we're friends. We talked about stuff. But again, I felt like in the moment now my anger has gone. I think a little bit of that guilt. But I know I wasn't telling him, it's just like, no, man, I think I'm good.
Right.
That was just my natural, response to it. And, it was a good friend of mine that, reached out, that actually showed up, like, hey man, let's grab a cup of coffee at Wawa, and, anyway, I think like talking about it with him, definitely helped, and, sharing stuff with my wife again, definitely helps. And, since talking about it on podcasts with you guys, right. Given I give this presentation, to other departments and stuff like that. It's almost like a form of therapy for myself now.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, going through it now, even knowing the outcome, it's still real.
Yeah.
I remember that summer, and man, being just frustrated, that, all Virginians, right. We go to the Outer Banks, for vacation, and, we're, at H2OBX, it's that 6 o'clock hour. The sun's just right. I can look off in the distance. I remember being able to see the sound, like seeing the water below us, how it felt. And it was like just, you're zoning out on top of it until, my oldest is like, Dad, come on. We got to get on this. We got to get on the float. And being frustrated with myself, like, dude, you're taking time away from your family. Because again,
that's a serious trigger.
Yeah.
I mean, you were up on a height at the exact same time of the evening, overlooking water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think talking about it and just having time. So I didn't know the outcome of everything.
So when did you find out that she had survived that fall?
It was like several months. And actually she had reached out to my wife first on Facebook. So of course my wife, we're going to talk. And she's like, hey, I got a message from Angela. She never told me what they talked about or anything like that. But then I was floored.
Yeah.
Cause I'm like, dude, I've just chalked it up. I think that Monday after, so again, they let me have that weekend off. That Monday, Tuesday, I was naturally off, so I didn't go back to work till Wednesday. And that Monday, trying to call, like, hey, what was the outcome? And of course, I knew she went to the hospital, but calling the hospital, the HIPAA, they ain't telling me nothing.
Right.
So I just chalked it up like, hey, man, that was a loss. You're just gonna move on. I guess in my mind, I was like, time heals all wounds, right? So give it enough time and distance, I guess. So again, go back into work. You got overtime, stuff like that. But that constant reminder of, when I was laying down, feeling that physiological response. So maybe that was me just not dealing with it, right?
Wow.
But I think over the next weeks, learning that she did survive, then I just had a lot of questions. Like, what could I have done better? What could have been the thing to, bring you over the bridge? Just second guessing myself, like, well, maybe I'm not that good, so.
You asked her these questions, or these are questions that you were asking
So
yourself?
This is questions I was asking myself.
Okay.
But actually later, she reached out to me on Facebook, and we chose to meet at a Mexican restaurant. Wow. Had the opportunity to actually ask these questions.
I'm going to say it's so rare
Yeah.
to ever
Correct.
hear the other side of this story.
Yeah.
And today we get to hear the other side of that story. Angela, you want to come join us? Amen. Has money gotten in the way of how God can use you? Let me tell you about Tom Love, certified financial planner with the Main Street Group. Tom Love from Tuckahoe Tribe, a.k.a. Doc, can absolutely get you squared away with your finances. My wife and I use Doc to handle our personal finances, and his team is second to none. Tom is a certified financial planner. He's a Dave Ramsey SmartVestor Pro. He's been ranked top 40 under 40. He's been ranked number 2 in Richmond Times-Dispatch. He's been featured in the Wall Street Journal. And make sure you mention Men's Alliance whenever you reach out to Doc. He gives Men's Alliance, Tip of the Spear Ministries, a portion of the proceeds when you invest through him. He's a fee-only fiduciary, which means he doesn't make money unless you make money. So check out Tom Love at the Main Street Group. Angela, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us your point of view, your perspective on that day.
Well, for me, it starts long before that day.
Yeah.
I am a product of an alcoholic father, a addict of a mother, a lot of adult responsibilities at a young age, a lot of childhood sexual abuse that I endured. A lot of different things got me to that bridge. But I always had severe depression that was never diagnosed, never treated. And it got really bad after I had my daughter back in 2016. The postpartum depression after that just sent me into a spiral. They put me on a medicine to, try to help the depression, the anxiety, all the things. But I ended up getting addicted to that medication. So that was huge for me because it wasn't something that I took every day. Therefore, it's not something that I felt that I was addicted to.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought, I'll only take it every 6 to 8 weeks to just kind of chill me out for a couple of days, and then I'm good. Well, I got addicted and started taking more than what I was supposed to, etc.
What was the medicine? Do you remember?
It was lorazepam, Xanax, benzodiazepines. So my mother-in-law and my husband sat me down and was like, look, we need to get you off these medicines to try to treat the depression. And that worked well for a couple of months, but I was still kind of depressed, so went back to the doctor. Doctor told me that they were going to double my dose. And within 4 days of my dose being doubled, I was on side of the bridge.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
When did you decide that's what you were going to do?
That the morning of, I had a disagreement with my mother-in-law and my husband again. They thought what they were seeing in terms of the way I was acting, being lethargic, kind of out of it, they thought I was using, which in all reality, it was the doubling of the antidepressant is what they were seeing. So, and I tried to explain to them that I hadn't been using, that, you know, I was over that, I was going to conquer it, blah, 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 blah. But, so my husband left, kind of panicked. I went upstairs and I grabbed 2 of my kids' baby blankets, one of my sons and one of my daughters. And I got in the car. Wrote down a little bit of a suicide note in the car to a couple of people. Called my mom to tell her that I loved her. And then just parked the car on the side of the bridge, and I was ready.
What were your thoughts when he started talking to you? The cop is trying to have a conversation with you over your shoulder.
Well, I was nervous, but I wasn't nervous because of him. I was nervous because of everything else that was behind me. The other officers that were standing behind me, I didn't know what their intentions were. And because I was nervous about that and all the other distractions, I couldn't really focus on what Joey was saying to me.
Yeah.
I remember him, you know, trying to talk about my kids and fishing and my youngest and swimming and, you know, they spend their summers right there on that river, all of those things.
Yeah.
How long were you, when you parked the car, you wrote the note, how long were you there by yourself before anybody showed up, and kind of what was happening in your mind? Was there a lot of debating going on?
No, there was no debating. I'm the type of person that when my mind is made up, it's made up.
Yeah.
I just parked the car, got out, and then I don't remember how long I was sitting on the side of the bridge before Sean got there, the first officer. But I don't remember much of the conversation that I had with Sean. I remember the conversation with Joey.
So your mind was made up.
Oh, for sure.
And was there ever anything that happened during y'all's conversation that made you like almost not, that was kind of striking a chord and making you reconsider this?
When he told me if I pulled my leg back over that he could get me help with the addiction, etc., that did. However, I was still in denial. And I thought I would still fail my children. So in my head, I was doing the right thing so they wouldn't have to worry about mama being broken or the addiction that I wasn't even, you know, I was in total denial about. So how am I going to conquer something that I can't even admit that I have the problem?
Do either of you remember, how did the topic of meds and addiction come up?
I don't.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, because I think she said like at one point that your kids they wouldn't have a drug addict mother anymore.
Okay.
And then I was like, well, tell me about that.
Yeah.
You know, and I will tell you that was the moment that I was like my Kobe moment. I thought I had it because at one point she says she was like, well, where will we go? And I'm like, oh, we got it. We're here. And then
because she's
helicopters and boats and then blanket falls and there we go.
And that was significant, the blanket falling.
Yeah.
That was the icing on the cake for me, that I was
Really?
doing the right thing by my children. But
I said it'd give her that blanket fall would give her one more reason to jump.
Yeah.
Well, it was the blanket fall, but it was what caused me to drop the blanket.
Ow.
The boat below they recorded the entire thing, for one, and they were screaming, if you're going to effing jump, just jump.
Oh, man.
And that's when I dropped the blanket.
Wow.
What was it that made you be done sitting there talking and go and stand up and jump? What was the final thing that made you decide, okay, I'm gonna do this?
The blanket fell, and to me, that was God's sign to me that it was time to go.
Do you remember what you said?
No, I remember pleading. I remember pleading with God 156 feet down that sorry. If he did save me, that I would do something to be able to tell my testimony for him.
Wow.
That I would speak on mental health because it is real and addiction.
You were saying this to God
As I am falling.
as you were falling. You were asking God to save
Pleading
you.
with everything in my body, pleading. Because I didn't want to leave this world.
You just didn't see another way. You didn't
Nope.
see another option.
I didn't.
Do you remember
Yeah,
hitting the water?
I do. I remember hitting the water. I was screaming for Trent, who's my husband. I hit the water. I remember taking one big deep breath, and then this, I've never met him, but a big red-haired gentleman pulling me out of the water and saying, "We got you." And then they took me off into the boat, on the boat, to Dutch Gap, where the helicopter was waiting. And then still I'm screaming for Trent. And then they were getting ready to put me on the helicopter, and I was like, I'm not going on that thing. And they were like, you really have an option. But then I remember being in trauma bays, just, all the stuff going on around me, the doctors, and I'm still screaming for my husband. And then I don't remember much after that. I think they ended up having to sedate me because...
Did you have any serious physical injuries?
To me, my injuries, considering, they, aren't that bad, but I fractured C3, C4, C5, C6, L1, L4. I had a laceration on my liver. I had a kidney, an acute kidney injury, and then I had a cut on the small of my back about the size of a quarter. The bacteria from the water ended up getting in my bloodstream. So that small cut ended up becoming necrotic, and it caused me to have my gluteal muscles removed all the way down to my sacral bone. It looked like something out of a shark attack movie.
Wow.
They originally sent me to a facility because I needed wound care. They ended up almost killing me because they weren't doing the wound care properly. So I was in the hospital again because I was septic, and they sent me home, and my husband ended up having to learn how to do my wound care because insurance wouldn't pay for a nurse to come out and do it every day. So he did wound care twice a day for 9 months.
Wow. So you broke your back in numerous places, a lot of internal organ damage, and a blood infection.
When would you say you were thankful to be alive?
Immediately. I was only a couple feet for some rocks.
Yeah.
It was God's divine intervention in every way possible.
It's amazing. He
Yeah.
heard and answered your prayer in that 4 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's something I think about now that we're removed and we do this presentation. That I said that day, I felt the devil put her on the bridge, and walking away feeling like we lost. But I can see now we didn't. You know what I'm saying? That he doesn't have power over God. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That he wanted her to live. He wanted her to have this testimony. Anyway, that's, I can look at that now and see that.
Yeah.
A lot of times we think we've lost, and it's just the middle of the story.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like that day, that wasn't the end. That was like a brand new beginning. That was a new start. Tell us, how is your life different today than it was the days leading up to that one?
It's a lot different. But I will say that the addiction got a lot worse before it got better. I was in the hospital. I needed the medicines for the pain, for the trauma, for all the things. I'm an open book, and I'm going to be totally honest. I was sober for a couple of years. Cut out all contact of family, etc., that, weren't good for me. And then a year ago this past March, I come in contact with my mother and my brother again. And they both looked me in my face and they told me that they wished that I would have succeeded that day. When I jumped off that bridge. And I relapsed. I spent 5 days in a mental unit. After that 5 days, I came home. I had dinner with my oldest child, who's now 18. He was barely 17 at the time. He sat me down and looked me in the eyes and he said, "Mama, if you take one more pill, our relationship is over." So today I'm 428 days sober.
Wow, that's awesome.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats.
And it's been...
Keep it up.
Yeah. It's not always easy because addiction is... A lot of people say it's an everyday thing. And that's true, it is. But sometimes it's an every second thing. You're battling a lot of things. And you're battling Satan at the same time. Because he wants you back there.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious. You made this promise to God as you were falling that you would do something for him. I forget how you put it.
I would just share my testimony
Yeah.
to be able to share his goodness and his love and his mercy and his grace.
And that's what you're doing right now. And I know you guys talk a lot about this. You share this story a lot. What would you tell people who are struggling with addiction or depression and they're thinking about ending their life? What would you share with them?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. There's somebody out there that will listen. And I don't want anybody to ever think that your mental health isn't as important as your physical health. Because in a lot of ways, your mental health is even more important than your physical health.
That's a good point.
And if I can do it, coming from where I came from, and the obstacles and the trauma, if I can do it, God can help you do it too. And if you reach out, there's going to be people out there that will be able to help you with it.
Boy, that's good.
I think it's super important for people to hear and realize that if they're, considering suicide, that when you were so determined on jumping, but as soon as you jumped, you instantly regretted it.
It was instant regret.
So that whole jump down, you weren't happy, like, okay, I made the right decision. You were so pleading instantly when you jumped, because you said you had your mind made up, and then until the point you jumped, and then you instantly was like, this was the wrong choice. God, please save me.
That's a great point.
I think anytime when we choose the wrong thing, if we have a relationship with God, we're tempted to do something, and then we give into that temptation. We're like, okay, this was bad. This, of course, is on a whole complete different level. But I think it's important for people to hear that if you feel like you have your mind made up, that you want to do something that's going to harm yourself or someone else, that you can speak from 100% experience that you will instantly regret that decision.
Yes, absolutely.
And try to keep that in the forefront of your mind.
I think it's a good reminder to us all as well that everybody has a story.
Yeah.
Right? Before doing this podcast today, we watched the body cam footage recorder, and you just, it begins and you're just seeing a person sitting there. But then when we talk to you now, you hear the story, right? It's like we gotta all remember this daily for every single person we come in contact with, right? Every person has a story, and so often for so many people, those stories involve a lot of pain, a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse, and yet, you think about like those comments that those people below in the boat were saying, right? Like it's easy to view people as characters in a movie, one-dimensional with no backstory. And when you actually take the time to get to know somebody and hear their story, suddenly it makes sense why they are where they are today. That's a key reminder for me. I'm curious to ask you, if you were in his uniform, if you were walking up on a bridge and you saw somebody sitting there, what would you say to him?
I would just try to show as much love and compassion, and to try to get them to talk about where they're at in their headspace, so we can kind of dig into where we need to dig into to get into the problem, so we can figure out how we can solve the problem. Because a lot of people, or for me at least, is I got to that point because I did feel so hopeless. Like, where else? You know what I mean? Like, where I couldn't conquer the thing, but I think that if we could get the person speaking about, the issue, to help try to say, like, he with the addiction, if would have focused more on the addiction part, then maybe, I wouldn't have jumped.
That's good.
But that's what I would have said. He was great. There's nothing that he could have said that would have changed my mind.
Right.
But that's what I would have done.
I think that's an important part of this story as well, right? Yeah. For first responders and stuff, right? It's like, I know you felt like, as soon as you saw her jump, you were saying, like, man, I guess I failed. Yeah. I guess I messed up. And you didn't.
Yeah.
Right? It was never on you. It was never your job to save her.
Yeah.
Right. She's her own person making her own decisions. And I think so many men and women are walking around carrying guilt that's really not theirs to carry.
Absolutely. And just looking like how this one incident, grown both our families. I mean, really, it's not just a me and her thing anymore. And as well as, you look at the day that she relapsed, she calls me, I'm at the academy, and I call one of the officers that are close by, who's an SRO, who's actually in my tribe. And he's the one that went to deal with her. You know what I'm saying? That went and helped her.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you're like right down the road. So he left, made contact with her. And just where we are now, it's not just my family, not just her family. She's attending Women's Alliance. My wife is in Women's Alliance. several of the officers that were involved in the incident are part of my tribe in Men's Alliance. When we went to Baltimore to speak, 1,000 people in attendance. While I was up there, by the way, was able to go by and see one of the Be More Bravo tribe.
Yeah.
So attended their weekly meeting, but in the audience, Men's Alliance guys were there. Anyway, didn't even know that we were part of it until Warrior Princess. And I'm setting my tent up beside Barricade, who is in D.C. And he's like, yeah, man, I heard you speak. And I'm looking at him like,
wow.
Yeah, and what's crazy is just looking at like my spiritual growth, is he was one of the first person that thanked me. That was like, hey, thank y'all for sharing your testimony from a spiritual, perspective. And that had never been said that to me before. And we're talking at the conference. 2.5 months later, we're at Warrior Princess, and we're both in, Men's Alliance together. Insane.
What was the conference?
It's the FBI Baltimore National Negotiations Conference.
Okay.
It's an annual conference. So it's like 1,000 negotiators from across the country.
Were you there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was that?
Well,
What does that feel like?
Joey has this thing, right? Joey has this thing where he'll just, nonchalantly say, hey, well, we're going to go do this. Or, hey, we're going to go. I'm like, okay, well, I forgot about numbers. Well, he doesn't. And he says, oh, it's going to be like the one we did before, which was maybe 350.
Yeah.
There was 1,000.
It's going to be just like that, only 3 times bigger.
Yes. So
I know she'll get in her own head. So I'm like, it's good, Angela. It's
Just
good.
10, there's only 3.
Just remember, therapy. But I mean, it was an awesome conference, and it was really cool being able to make the connect with the different Men's Alliance guys in different tribes and stuff. And I mean that was really cool, really
Angela,
special.
what is your call sign in Women's Alliance?
I haven't gotten mine. This is only my second time.
Oh, you've been twice.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
But I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
This
I'll
will
let
be
you
my
know.
second, but I'm bringing a friend, so hopefully
Yeah.
we're gonna grow this tribe.
Have
Oh,
you told
man.
your story
No.
to that tribe yet?
Mhm.
Good. That's probably good. Yeah, let them work for it.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm like honored to be just hearing your story and your story, right? Like, I think this is so powerful for literally every single person to hear, right? Because law enforcement, addiction, men, women, this is everything on all sides
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah. And that's, I tell, when we give this story with whether it be CIT, whether it be in our academy, just like, man, don't put it in the bottle and try to close it up. Like, get it out. You're not going to solve the problems by yourself. And now with my spiritual growth, I feel more confident. And my department doesn't shake a finger at us, we can't openly speak about, our faith and stuff. And just having these guys, my tribe alone, I think we're at 12 of us now, just from my department, but there's other departments that are coming, and just, growing every week with new cops, and our brethren, a redheaded stepchild, firefighters next door, but they're starting to come, and just the importance of talking about it. Don't put yourself on that island. Don't be isolated. Like, come out, talk about your problems, because around that fire, there are so many testimonies that you don't even know. You know what I'm saying?
It's amazing how isolation is terminal for both of you,
Yeah.
right? Whether you're the cop
Yeah.
or you're the person on the bridge,
Yeah.
both of those people cannot afford to isolate.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What is it that you are drawing your source of motivation from these days? What are you living for? What's your What's your inspiration now?
My kids. My son just graduated high school Monday, and
Nice. How awesome is that?
to be able to be here,
Yeah.
to watch him walk across that stage and get his diploma after he has overcome tribulations that I put him through as an addict of a mother. It's God is good. God is good. I take my strength from him and the strength that I need to get through each day from my children and from him. And that's what gets me through.
I'm imagining you still have some pain, physical pain.
Every day of my life.
What do you do now to cope with your pain? What do you turn to since you're not turning to pills?
Extra strength Tylenol and my Bible. I mean,
And she's stubborn as well.
yeah, I'm stubborn.
That's great.
That's
But, yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Well, man, you're this story is gonna reach a ton of people. I mean, to you, both of y'all, to have the courage to, I mean, it's spoken to me. I was a law enforcement officer for a good while, and I lost somebody to suicide that I was responsible for that didn't come back. And so just hearing y'all's story has spoken to me personally and has comforted me. So thank you for
Yeah, absolutely.
just being willing to share and just leaning into that. Like, God had saved you for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is part of it. And sometimes we don't get to know on this side of heaven why God has saved us from things. And he's blessed you with knowing why. And this is one reason to share your story, so to help other people. So yeah,
sure.
just thank you personally.
No
for
problem.
coming
Thanks
here.
for having me.
Yeah, thank you guys. I want to give you guys closing comments, parting shots here from both of your perspective as the first responder
Yeah.
dealing with the trauma and trying to medicate with work.
Yeah. So I say, man, again, there's power in testimony. When you're around that fire, share. Don't build walls between you and your spouse. So many times I see guys that are struggling with that. I share with Beth everything, maybe too much, right? But you can't keep it bottled up. You got to get it out. I tell Angela all the time how the strength to openly talk about your worst day, your worst mistake, that gives me encouragement, right? To have those real world devotions, to, talk about your struggles, be vulnerable, because, it's a form of therapy for me as well, talking about, this stuff, our incident, and really just trying to encourage guys to do the same. Just talk, we're here, you go through stuff, and you have no idea the interactions you have with people, the impact you can make. That I've heard you say it before. My wife, we talked about it, just the ripple effect.
Yeah.
Be that first stone, man. It's crazy being on this side of stuff. When that stone hits the water, that you don't, God knows what the ripples are going to do. We're too close to it to see it. So don't be scared to be that guy or girl, right? But just to power and testimony, and actually, getting what's on your heart out.
It's good. You get the last comment. What do you want to say or share to the listeners?
I guess my biggest thing is through mental health. If you're struggling, get help. Get it before it's too late. When your first little red flag comes up, get the help that you need, and don't be ashamed to get that help. Because if you start working on the problem before it becomes a big problem, then you can conquer anything. And if you think that you're in a bad place and you think that you can't conquer something, just turn to God. God's already conquered it all for you anyway. You just have to trust him and let him do his work.
So good. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for your time, but your story. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having us.
Yeah.
To find out more about what we're doing and to join us on our mission, go to men'salliancetribe.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a 5-star review.